You are already mid-tantrum. Not a mortal tantrum, a continental drift tantrum. Vineyards flatten, ships reconsider their careers. Somewhere a shepherd throws his hands up and says, of course. Weather is just your mood with better marketing. You're trying to remember which mortal offended you this time. Was it the poet who rhymed Zeus with loose? The king who boasted he was handsomer than a god? The dude who built a lightning rod and called it insurance? You can't keep track. The centuries blur. Only the thunder remembers. The first thing you know is teeth. Kronos, your father, jaw like a guillotine, appetite like a prophecy with a deadline. The oracle said one of his children would overthrow him, so he swallowed them like vitamins. Hestia, Demeter, Hera, Hades, Poseidon, a family reunion inside a stomach. Your mother, Rhea, a spine made of rumor and iron, wraps a rock in swaddling and hands it to Kronos. He gulps it down, births destiny. You're smuggled to Crete, to a cave stitched into the ribs of a mountain. Your nurse is a goat who smells like rain and panic. The Curetes pound their shields to drown your cries. Your lullaby is bronze on bronze, violence made rhythmic, survival made musical. You learn two things: noise can be love, and hiding is just a louder kind of presence. Adulthood arrives like a storm that doesn't ask permission. You give Kronos a drink, bitter as justice, slick as betrayal. He retches your siblings back into existence. Fully grown, blinking like addicts, adjusting to daylight. Then war, 10 years of it. Titans hurling mountains like rice at a wedding, rivers boiled to bone. You aim your thunder as if it's punctuation, as if you finally learned grammar and its impact. When it's over, sky blue victory unfurls like a flag you didn't iron. You divide the universe with your brothers. Straws drawn with cosmic precision. Poseidon, the sea, always damp, always dramatic. Hades, the underworld, introvert with impeccable boundaries. You, the sky, everything above heads and inside prayers. A throne on Olympus, a crown of weather, a job description that reads, yes. At first you rule like a musician riffing. Thunder here, yes. Favor there, yes. Turn that arrogant king into something with fleas? Absolutely yes. But power is a bottomless cup. It is thirst pretending to be water. You visit the mortal world because eternity is long and worship is repetitive. You hate boredom more than rebellion. And this is where the disguises begin. You tell yourself it's research. You tell yourself it's curiosity. It's also appetite and the ache of being seen as more than thunder. The stories get baroque. As a swan, you glide into a courtyard, all feathered innocence and nightmare eyes. The world forgets birds are dinosaurs. Consequences hatch 9 months later, and your palace staff starts taking bets on whether it's twins or demigods again. As a bull, you're all muscle and moonlight. You steal a princess across the sea like a yacht that learned to move. You call it romance. The newspapers, if they existed, would have called it a situation. As golden rain, you fall through a ceiling into a locked room, and the room calls it a miracle, because who can prosecute weather? You think it's play. Hera calls it the calendar of grief. She is your wife, your queen, your equal in fury. She does not shout, she engineers outcomes. She is vengeance with good posture. Some days you love her enough to tremble, other days you hide behind cumulonimbus and pretend you're far away. You sit center throne, a silhouette of weather. The agenda reads: 1. Mortals. 2. Etiquette. 3. Why the sea is too loud. Poseidon arrives late, dripping salt, wearing the kind of smirk that says tsunami. Athena taps a stylus against her lip, already 3 plans ahead and 7 disappointed sighs deep. Apollo brings a lyre and a hangover. Artemis pretends not to roll her eyes. Demeter stares into the middle distance, thinking of grain and revenge. Ares sharpens a knife on another knife. Hermes has already stolen your thunderbolt just to prove he can, then returns it with a wink, like theft is a form of love. Aphrodite files her nails. All the filings turn into new religions. You hit the table with lightning. The table forgives you because it must. Agenda. Item 1. Mortals keep inventing hubris. Athena proposes education. Ares proposes violence. You propose a demonstration. Hera proposes a look that could cauterize a wound. Agenda Item 2. Etiquette. Hera would like to remind everyone that turning into livestock to court mortals is not appropriate. You claim it was a phase. Hermes coughs, phase 4 this century. Agenda item 3, the sea's volume. Poseidon suggests you try minding your own business. You suggest he learn the difference between mood and typhoon. He calls you a cloud with delusions. You call him a puddle with pretensions. Ares bets 3 helmets on Poseidon. Athena bets a plan on you. The meeting adjourns. Nothing is settled. Everything is decided. Between councils, you hold court. Sisyphus thinks he's clever. He chains death in a closet and invents the first extended warranty. You give him a rock with his name on it. He'll be an influencer someday. Niche, boulder core. Prometheus steals fire for mortals. You chain him to a cliff and schedule a daily eagle buffet. Mercy eventually arrives, disguised as a loophole, but you pretend not to notice because leadership is equal parts principle and plausible deniability. Ixion flirts with Hera. You spin him on a flaming wheel for eternity. You tell yourself it's justice. Hera calls it Wednesday. Arachne boasts she's better than a goddess. Discipline becomes arachnid. You pretend to be above it. You are not. Actaeon glimpses Artemis bathing. He becomes venison. You add privacy policy to Olympus bylaws. Niobe counts her children like trophies. The arrow count rises to match. You make a note. Pride is a shapeshifter too. Everything is precedent. Everything is theater. Petty? You? Absolutely. A king skips your festival. Flood. Not a biblical one. A bureaucratic one. Paperwork soaked. Supply chain delayed. The true god tier punishment. A poet writes epics and gives you 3 lines. Lightning forks his inkpot mid-stanza. He calls it inspiration. You call it editing. An inventor brags he can catch thunder in a jar. You aim slightly left and hit his hat. He keeps the hat. It becomes iconic. You can't win them all. A philosopher says gods are projections of human insecurity. You applaud from a cloud directly above him. He insists it's raining. It is not. A teenager swears on your name and then cheats at dice. Every snake within 100 miles attends his birthday party. He learns probability the old-fashioned way. Screams. Your grudges are a weather pattern. They water certain gardens. They never apologize. Centuries rinse past. Empires parade by like fashions that don't fit anymore. You perfect the art of selective presence. Sometimes you are the full opera, brass, chorus, earthquake. Sometimes you are ambient, a low roll on the horizon that says, remember me. Hera learns silence like a second language. It is loud. You try being faithful for a season. You make it 2 months. Then a shepherd girl laughs at a joke you haven't told yet, and immortality feels briefly new. You love mortals for their velocity. They break, they burn, they bloom, they die. They have the dignity of endings. You envy them and loathe that envy. I don't hate mortals. I hate that they get to leave the party and call it tragedy. I have to stay and call it tenure. Your children fill the earth like footnotes you refuse to read. Heracles, troubleshooter with a club. Perseus, headline-making hero with boundary issues. Athena, sprung fully armored from your skull because thinking gives you headaches and gods solve headaches with births. You attend their triumphs like a CEO attending a launch he barely funded, clapping with the hands that could end the world. The volume of prayer goes from ocean to brook to rumor. New temples rise to different names with different aesthetics. Mercy becomes fashionable. Forgiveness disrupts the market. You laugh until your tectonic plates ache. You call the new god a pacifist with good branding. The laugh echoes weird. It doesn't come back. Your statues lose noses to time and tourists. Your temples become pictogram backgrounds for engagement photos. The tour guide tells your stories as legends. A nice word for curiosities. You try to smite an influencer for doing a thirst trap in your sanctuary. The lightning takes half a second longer than it used to. It still looks great on camera. He gains followers. You consider hiring Hermes as PR. The gods disperse. Apollo goes on a solo tour, sells nostalgia and sunsets. Artemis becomes hard to find by design, which is the point of her. Ares discovers reality TV and thrives. Athena advises leaders who don't deserve her. She leaves early and is never thanked. Demeter folds her grief into harvests, invents comfort food. Poseidon sulks in salt, claims he always preferred solitude. Hades remains steady, the only professional left in the family. Hera sits beside you, her gaze is a blade, but the handle is warmer now. You talk less because talking makes the silence afterwards bigger. One evening you descend as a man, not a swan, not a bull, not moonlight with opinions, just a man in a coat that remembers rain. You walk a city where your temple once was. Now it's a park with a plaque that mispronounces pronounces your mother's name. People jog through your sanctum. A child kicks a football against your old altar and shouts, "Goal!" You smile because the holiness of play is the only theology you've ever respected. A bus wallops a puddle. Your pants drink it. You raise a hand to the sky out of reflex. Nothing. Then a small, polite growl of thunder somewhere distant, like an old dog acknowledging its name. You feel something you rarely admit, fatigue that isn't boredom. Is this death? No. It's relevance on a slow drip. You try to clean house. You promise Hera 90 days of no disguises. Hermes circulates a betting pool. Odds worse than Sisyphus's commute. Day 3. A queen tells a story about a swan that made her feel like a cathedral ringing. You chew the arm of your throne. It tastes like cloud. Day 11. A dryad dances by a river and the river applauds. You applaud with it. Hera's eyebrow levitates. You call it meteorology. She calls it Thursday. Day 28. You almost make it. Then a mortal architect drafts a dome so perfect it could cradle the sky. You visit as a blue flame in a brazier. You tell yourself you are patronage. The blueprint curls in the heat. He calls it a vision. You call it relapse. Meanwhile, Olympus HR, Athena against her will, updates the handbook. No livestock seductions. No celestial phenomena inside locked bedrooms. Informed consent even for clouds. Especially for clouds. You sign. You mean it when the ink's wet. You punish yourself with work. You referee god fights like a tired parent at a chaotic playground. You commute to the Trojan War, both sides obviously, trying to balance narrative satisfaction with casualty limits. You turn rain on and off like a metronome for farmers who never say thank you to the sky, only to the harvest. You start answering the smallest prayers again, not the kings, not the poets. Just the kid asking for thunder so he can count the seconds to the lightning and know how far danger lives. You give him a soft rumble, a bedtime drum. Chairs empty themselves. Echoes keep their coats on. You call for order. Order arrives late and tired. Athena recommends sunset plans. Codify myths. Release a final edition. Curate the brand. Hermes suggests a farewell tour. Zeus live. One night only. Everywhere. Hera says simply, "End well." Poseidon shrugs, then nods. It is the closest he has come to blessing you. You draft a decree. No more petty bolts. No more livestock courtship. No more punishing mortals for being mirrors. You sign it. Lightning notary. Everyone claps like rain on leaves. Modest. Sincere. The world glows with city constellations. Stars now compete with streetlights and lose gracefully. You whisper to the clouds, and they come like old friends who still know the door code. You do not die. Gods don't. You dim. You become weather and story and the muscle memory of awe. Your throne remains, a chair-shaped rumor. Your name survives where jokes and oaths overlap. People say, "By Zeus," ironically, then not ironically when the thunder gets very close. A shepherd curses the rain. A child wonders if a sky can be angry. A scientist teaches the storm to a classroom and uses your name as a fossil of fear. You are okay with all three. They are worship adjacent. One last time, you make a storm. Not catastrophic, exquisite. The kind of storm that makes windows sound like drums and lovers call each other closer. Lightning takes a tasteful bow across a distant ridge. Thunder follows with perfect comedic timing. 2 beats late for suspense. You open your hand. Electricity crawls your palm like a fond memory. It's smaller than before, but contained power has its own charisma. You think of Rhea wrapping a stone in a blanket. You think of a goat that smelled like milk and ozone. You think of Hera's eyebrow, undefeated champion. You think of mortals laughing with their whole bodies at jokes that would bore an immortal. You think of all the times you mistook appetite for love, punishment for order, noise for meaning. You close your hand. The light goes. Far away, a child begins counting the seconds after a flash. Onni, 2, 3. He gets to 8, smiles, says, "It's far. You are far, but not gone." The cycle is eternal, not because you are eternal, though you sort of are contractually, but because thunder always needs a voice and the sky is lousy with auditions. Today it was you, tomorrow it's a storm with no name, a protest chant, a drumline at halftime, a grandmother banging pots in the kitchen, a river arguing with its banks. All of them, little Zeuses, messy, loud, insisting on existing.